Welcome to The Art of Being Unstoppable, the podcast where women from every walk of life come together to break barriers, embrace their power, and live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Vicki McDougall, and each week we explore inspiring stories, actionable strategies, and empowering conversations to help you step into your confidence, amplify your voice, and create a life without limits. No matter where you are on your journey, this is your space to grow, thrive, and become unstoppable. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. And today, my special guest is Danielle Gray. Welcome,
Hello.
Danielle.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy for you to be here. And I just want to give a big shout out. I absolutely love your hair. Being a stylist by
Thank you.
trade, and every time I see you, even online or the last time we've had a conversation, I'm like, your hair is just beautiful. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I do get it a lot, but I also kind of love it a lot. So I appreciate it very much.
Good. It's one thing I think that as women, we have a hard time taking a compliment,
Yes.
right? Because it's like, oh, really? Thank you. Right? But
Yeah, I
love
used to really deflect, and I see that a lot in my clients is when they first come to me. So let me back up a second. My focus in work now is it started in manifestation and mindset, and now it's more in nervous system regulation, but even more specifically in capacity expansion. But so one thing that I have noticed as a pattern in the women that I work with is a lot of the time when they come to me, they don't have the capacity to hold what it is that they want. They think they can't manifest. They think they can't reach their goals, but the issue is that they actually don't have the capacity to hold. Now, how that's relevant to this particular thing you just said was because I find that a lot of women, it starts with not being able to accept a compliment. You compliment them and they turn around and immediately deflect and say, oh, but your hair is better. Or, oh, yeah, but it took me so long. Or, oh, really? It's, kind of fluffy or, and it's like, no, just accept the compliment, expand your capacity to receive. And that goes even as far as letting somebody open the door for you, letting somebody buy you a coffee, letting somebody give you a freaking compliment.
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Like, I love to compliment people. I love to, I think bringing kindness and a smile to someone's day is one of the, actually, it's the cheapest. It doesn't cost anything.
Yes.
And it is the most rewarding for both the person giving and the person receiving.
Yes. 100%. That's something I've tried to instill in my son from very early on is it started with, I caught myself saying to him, oh, I really like this girl's, I don't know, dress or tattoos or whatever it was we were looking at. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go tell her because I think it'll make her day. And of course, her face lights up. Right. And so I try to be an example to everybody around me too. Even my mom, who's 30 years older than me. We were in a nail salon and she whispers over, she's like, oh, I really like that girl's dress. And I said, well, why don't you tell her? And then she was like, kind of makes this face. And I said, well, I'll tell her. And she walked by and I said, I love your dress. That is beautiful. And she, just lit up. And like you say, it's inexpensive. It's so easy. And it's just I like to receive compliments. Do you like to receive compliments? We should give compliments, right? Plus,
That's right.
It fills your good karma jar. You want that good karma jar full.
That's right. You do. I know that we didn't really introduce Danielle properly, but now that you know a little bit about her, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Like, will you share your journey? I know you talk about your son, and the one thing that I have to say I absolutely loved when we were building, like coordinating our schedules to get you on for the podcast. You told me that, no, I can't do that time because that was your son. That's non-negotiable time that you spend with your son. That was amazing to hear from such a young woman like yourself. I know that for myself when I was younger and I had my business and I was really like, you're all in. Yes, 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 is what I said to everyone. And it wasn't until I realized that no is just as powerful sometimes, if not more so, for myself.
Yes.
To honor my own boundaries. So that I have to say was, and of course, I want it to work around everyone's schedule, which turned me to looking within a little bit more after you said that and to see where I'm not honoring my boundaries with that as well. So I literally went into my calendar and I have now every morning I'm blocked off till 10 a.m. I don't have any small children at home, but that is the time that whether I want to, my meditations, my yoga, whatever I'm choosing to do that morning is my choice, a walk, whatever. But I'm going to get in those things for me every single morning before I
Yeah.
start my day.
Yeah, it's so important. You got me kinda choked up there when you were because it was a learning process to be able to say, "No, my son comes first, I come first, my family comes first, this comes before that, and et cetera." And, um, my journey has really been a journey to choosing myself. Um, and I mean, you're a mom, you know what it's like. We are groomed, programmed to put
Yep.
ourselves last. And if we try to put ourselves first, well, now we're selfish, right? And
Yep.
that's just a nice thing to say. That's just the nice way to say it, right?
Yep, that's right.
But we have to choose ourselves. Yes, and a lot of the capacity expansion work that I'm doing is actually rooted in choosing myself. Like, I am leading by example. I am teaching from a place of, look, like, I have done all of the wrong ways so that I can sit, I mean, not intentionally, but so I can sit here and
No.
tell you, I know that it's important that you choose yourself. And so when you say you've got your calendar blocked off until 10, that is so important, because if you do not choose yourself, nobody else is going to choose you either. The universe is not going to choose you. You're going to continue to be put in last place because that's where you are putting yourself on the rank of things. And especially as moms, like, everybody should be putting themselves first, right?
Absolutely.
In a non-selfish, taking care, self-care kind of a way, right? In a productive, healthy way. But
Yes.
especially moms, it's the hardest for us, but we need it the most because, I mean, if you've turned, yeah, I'm sure everybody's heard, happy wife, happy life, but it's true, like, we are the matriarchs of the household. And I can see, especially when I started to kind of zoom out and really look at it for what it was, when I'm not in a good place, when my nervous system is not regulated, when I am stressed out or, pushed to my max, or I haven't been taking that time to meditate because I've been too busy, for example.
Mhm.
um, Everything kind of falls apart. It's not good, and then I end up snapping at my son or my husband or whoever, is kind of like in the
Yeah.
midst of whatever's going
Yeah.
on, and it
Absolutely.
doesn't feel good, and then you're layering guilt, right, and frustration, and you feel bad. It's just not good. So we need to be taking some time for ourselves. And I say to people, um, I started a program years ago called Consistency Kickstart, and the idea is that it's 6 weeks to help you build a personal and spiritual practice routine that allows you to go from living on autopilot to becoming an auto creator of your reality. And the beginning of that program starts with layering in. Well, the whole program is kind of habit stacking, right? And it starts with, I want you to start meditating. And I cannot tell you how many people have told me, I don't have time to meditate. And I'm like, girl,
Mhm.
if you don't have time to meditate, you need to be meditating more than anybody,
That's
because
right.
there is no way you can tell me you do not have 10 minutes. We always have time for the things we prioritize.
Mhm. Yes, we
So
do.
that's something I want everybody to really, I want you to write that down. Okay. If
Yes.
everybody listening takes one thing out of this whole episode, it's that we always have time for the things we prioritize, including yourself. And if you're
Mhm.
not prioritizing yourself, you are losing every time.
Yeah. And I've seen that in my own life
Every time.
firsthand when I worked so much and
Mhm.
I ended up with cancer. I wasn't listening to my body. I
Ugh,
was,
yeah.
going, taking care of everybody else. I was a stylist. I owned a business. I had to
Mhm.
run, hustle all the time. And that isn't the truth. I didn't have to
Mhm.
do any of those things. But that was a choice that I made because
Right.
I didn't know any better. So if I can help women like yourself,
Right.
helping women see that you don't have to do that. Like it was always like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym, or
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. Oh, I can't get, I'm sorry, friend. And it was always, really? Or I would say yes to
Yeah.
everyone else. And even if I had that time blocked off for me, I wouldn't take it. I would
Yeah.
stick
It
something
wasn't
out
a
to.
non-negotiable.
It
Yeah.
was no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what non-negotiable was for myself. I
Right.
didn't.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Because we're
50.
not taught how to take that time and figure
No,
out.
no, we're not. And the more we can get this message out there to the more women, what my hope and joy is that it's going to trickle down into their children and their children's children. And I see the
Yes.
difference in my daughters and then their kids. I see the difference in how they will respond to something rather than react, or they will think about
Yeah.
something differently than a normal, like not a normal child, but another child would, because they've actually been
Right.
like programmed, so to speak, to,
Right.
okay, how does that affect me? Like, how does that making me feel? Right. And they're
Right.
honest about their feelings, and they should be. They
Yeah.
should be. So
They should
tell
be.
me a
They
little
should
bit
be.
about your take on that, Danielle, because I know you have a small child. Like, so what, like, what do you see with your son's like world? Because I know it's so much
Yeah.
different.
Yes. First of all, I love this question. Second of all, yes, it is a totally different world than what we grew up in, what our parents grew up in, what our grandparents grew up in. Also, my son was 5 when the world shut down. So right when he should be getting out and, joining sports and doing all these things, like we were not able to do any of that. So it was very interesting. Let's use that word. Interesting. But he's 10 now. He just turned 10. And now I do have a son, right? I do have a boy. And I find that with boys, especially my son, because my husband was very much raised into, don't cry and be a man and da 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 da, right? So my husband is quite evolved from that, but I do still see him kind of defaulting sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when
Yeah.
he's stressed out, which is again why nervous system regulation is so important. So we don't default on our programming, right? We have to reprogram and be intentional about what we're, who we're being and how we're showing up. But so I do see it in my son. I tell him, feel your feelings. Tell me how you're feeling. What's going on in your heart? Like if I say, what's going on, and he'll say, I don't know. And I'll say, well, what's going on in here? And I tap his little heart and I say, what's going on in here? And more often than not, he will start crying and just say, whatever he says. Basically, he's carrying too much, right? Something
Yeah.
is bothering him. He's
Yeah.
frustrated. And my son in particular is having a bit of a hard time at school. Last year he was being bullied. This year he's having a little bit of a hard time with the school work. Um, and I kind of saw that coming. We lived in Central America for about a year and a half, and I was trying to homeschool him. I say try because I'm good at a lot of things, but homeschooling is not one of them. So all the homeschooling moms, good for you. Okay. Because I cannot do it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried. I can't. But I was kind of noticing that he was having a harder time than I thought maybe he should. And I knew part of it was my, inability to be a good homeschool teacher, but I also could just see. Anyway, so he's got an extra layer of stuff going on. Okay.
Okay.
And so one thing that my husband and I continue to instill in him, because he's constantly scanning for who's doing more than him, who's working faster than him, who's getting more check marks and more this and more that, right? And I always come back to it. I say, Dominic, are you trying your best? And he'll say yes or no. He'll be honest with me. And I say,
Yeah.
look, if your absolute best is a 10, what was today? And he'll say it was a 7 or it was a 10 or if it was, I said, okay, then that's fine. I don't ever, it's a balance, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
trying to be very mindful of how I'm programming him,
Yeah.
because my parents were very hard on me. I was a good student. I was a good kid. But a lot of that was also self-preservation. I was trying to be the good kid so that I didn't add to anybody else's emotions. And anyway, we won't go into that, but it was a
But
whole
it's
thing,
true
right? So
though,
I'm trying
right?
really hard to not, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
And
it
we're the
very
ones
real.
that
So
keep
I'm
that
trying really
pattern.
hard.
We have to stop
Yes,
that. Like, just because we were
yes,
raised that way doesn't mean we have to do it the same way. We can shift that.
exactly.
And it isn't about the newest book and the newest way. It's not about that. It's about really
Yeah.
asking yourself, like, how did that make me feel? And how do I want my child to feel?
Exactly. Exactly. And I remember a time and this must have been some kind of traumatic thing for me, because I remember I was kind of struggling in math. Now, to be fair, I wasn't really trying that hard either. I was kind of busy with my, boyfriend and friends,
Yeah.
and I was, 14 and I was just not interested. Right. But my math teacher knew that I was capable of more. And so he pulled my dad in, and they came up with a game plan to help me and whatever. And then on my next math exam, I got a C plus because I was close to failing at this point. And I'm a smart kid. So that was not very good. Right. Anyway, so I
Right.
came home with a C plus, and my dad was like, well, why isn't it an A? And what he meant was, you're smarter than that. Why are you settling for a C plus when you and I both know you can get an A? But what he said was, well, why isn't it an A? And I don't ever want my son to think that grades are the most important thing. I also don't want him, on the flip side of that, my husband's family basically said to him, I don't care what your grades are, just graduate. Right. And I don't want that
Yeah.
either. That's, and he's
Yeah.
a smart guy too. So like so
Yeah.
it's a balance, right? So we say to my son, are you trying your best? And more importantly, are you proud of yourself? Are you making yourself proud? Do you feel good about, and not just at school, this bleeds into everything. Do you feel good
Absolutely.
about who you're being? Right? We say to him, if we're getting into an argument, or he's maybe been playing his video games a little too long and he gets a little bit, it gets his attitude a little bit,
Yeah.
a little sticky. So I'll say to him, are you proud of who you're being right now? Is this who you want to be? Right? And he'll go, no, because there's no point in shaming them. There's no point in telling them that what they're doing is wrong. I want to teach him self perspective. I want to teach
Yes.
him to be able to look at himself and go, do I like who I'm being or not? And this actually started with my own clients is, when you are creating a new reality, when you're stepping into a new version of yourself,
Yeah.
there is going to be a lot of pushback from your old self, from your ego, right? And so you have to constantly be asking yourself with every decision you're making, is this new me or is this old me? Like, am
Yeah.
I building on who I want to become, or am I falling back into who I've been?
Yeah.
And there really is no wrong answer, but then you can't be upset when you don't get where you want to go. Right.
That's right. That's
So
right.
that's kind of how I translated into my parenting and my husband, as well. We just consistently ask him, are you trying your best?
Mhm.
Are you proud of who you're being? Are you proud of how you're showing up? That's the most important thing to me.
That question, who are you being? Are you proud of who you're being? I never even knew what that meant until in my 50s. And that is the truth.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
2021, when I lost my parents, I was in overwhelm. I was in like grief and everything else. And then
Yeah.
I sought after a coach, and that was one of her first questions. Well, who do you want to be? And I didn't even know what that meant. I said, well,
Yeah.
I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, no, 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 no. Who do you want to be? So
Yes.
that is something that and that's why this is called the art of being unstoppable, because we get to choose who we want to be. And never were taught that. We
Right.
weren't taught
Right.
that. We were told who we had to be. Some parents told us
Oh,
to,
yes.
be seen and not heard. Other parents were, right. There was always these ways of we had to be. Guidance counselors told us, no, you can't do that. You're not capable or whatever.
Yeah.
Really? What about
Yeah.
what I think I'm capable of and what brings me joy? Because we put a
Yes.
lot of pressure on ourselves as adults, but that pressure trickles down to our children. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
the
and you know
slide,
what?
that's what's coming up, right?
Well, it is. And it doesn't just stop with the kids. It also, when you're talking earlier about it trickling down, I call that the ripple effect, because
Me too.
it's not just your daughter and her daughters. And, it's also your daughter's friends, because
Yep.
she's an influence on them. It's also your granddaughter's friends. Right.
Mhm.
So I've, my son has gotten into playing VR. He got a VR set for Christmas. And so he's, talking to all his friends. And once in a while we'll hear him and he'll say, he'll be almost coaching these kids. And he's not coming at it from a place of like, I'm better than you. He's coming at it from a place of, well, that's not really the right way to, think about that. Or maybe we should try thinking about it like this, or we should try, this instead. And it's just, I wish I had a good example. I can't think of one right now,
But
but
that's just
it's just
perfect
so
though.
cute to see.
Yes,
Yeah. It,
yes, I
it,
love
it feels
that.
so good to hear him say things. Every once in a while I'll just, because I'm not eavesdropping. I'm not trying to like invade his privacy or anything, but every once in a while he'll say something that it just triggers my
Yeah,
own reticular activating system, right? Like I'm filtering for things that I
yeah,
believe in. So he's saying
yeah,
something that, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so fantastic that it's rippling out that way. And he takes
I
it to
love that.
school with his friends, and he allows his friends to have their emotions. And he says, it's okay if you need to cry, you can give me a hug, or I'll sit here with you, or,
Yeah,
whatever. And I just, it's so, there's nothing better than watching your kid, or your grandkid in your case,
mhm,
reflecting the kind of human being they can be, and that you want them to be, and that you are clearly doing a good job because they're exuding it right in front of you,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
just, oh,
and
it's so, it
and
makes it
to
all
be
worth it.
honest, it makes it all worth it, but to be honest, I find some of the teachers, and I know this, I'm just can only speak about my grandsons, but some of the teachers find that hard to deal with. They
Yeah.
do, because they are in tune and they are calling things forward that they don't
Mhm.
believe is right. And, I try to tell them it's not right or wrong, but in their little minds, it is right or wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where they believe. And when we say to them, we always have your back, but you have to be honest because, you don't want them coming home and
Yeah.
telling you a story. And then you go back and you confront the teacher or
Yes.
whatever happened and you don't even know half the
That's
story.
not what happened.
No.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy to see it. And, I love the fact that you're so aware of how you show up. And I think that that's important because old version of Danielle would just go about her life and not even know.
Mhm.
But now that
Oh,
you
yeah.
are aware, you're passing that along. So that ripple effect doesn't just affect, and that's why we do this. This is why we do this podcast, is so
Right.
that we can touch more people. We can get this word out worldwide so that women know that they are capable of being unstoppable. These little shifts, and it doesn't take 15 different things every day. It's taking what someone has said to you and asking
Yeah.
yourself, how does that affect my life? And oh my goodness. And what you had said to me that day was, no, that was non-negotiable time. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Girl, you're on to something. And I teach I support people with the
Yeah.
same thing, but I always have felt that I needed to be there for everyone all the time. And
Mhm. Mhm.
you showed me that I can be there for everyone whenever it works into all of our schedules.
Yeah.
And it will work.
Yeah. And one tip I'll share with the mums, one of the ways that I do this and I make it work for myself is at the beginning of every month, I mean, you can do this with any calendar, but I have a dry erase calendar on my fridge. I wipe it all down and I put in the dates and then I put in all of the family things first. All of our family things, like we see my grandfather-in-law once a week. My husband sometimes has things going on. My son has things going on. All of that goes onto the calendar first, including, hot lunches, things I can volunteer at the school for, field trips, anything like that. All goes on the schedule first. Then any appointments and anything else that's, important in our personal lives first. And then after that, and of course now, on a week to week basis, I also have, like you said, I have got time blocks of things that are, day to day for my own self as well, which I don't put on the big calendar, but now it's kind of become a routine. I don't really need to have it on there. I do still have it time blocked on my Google Calendar,
Yes.
just so that it's like I can't get double booked or anything like that by accident. Because you're trying to do things on the go sometimes, and you end up, booking the wrong thing or whatever. Um, but then after all of that is in there, all of the important things, family first, me first, husband first, kid first, then I do things like podcast bookings and, live trainings and when I'm going to record my content and all of that. So that because when we were going to book originally, I think it was going to be this last Friday and it was a non-instructional day for my son. And I could I could have. He's 10. He doesn't want to spend all day
Yeah.
with me. He did not
No.
spend all day with me. I could, it's easy for me. I could
Yeah.
sneak off and work for several hours and he wouldn't bother me. But the problem is that actions speak louder than words. So I cannot sit here and tell him, you are more important than my business, or you are more important than, X, Y, or Z, but then I'm not doing that. Right. So even though I know he's not going to spend all of his pro D day with me, he hardly spent any of it with me, actually, but that's okay because I was home available and I kept checking with him. What do you want to do? Are you happy doing this? If you're cool, I'm going to go clean the bathrooms and I'll check in with you when I'm done. Okay, now let's have some lunch. Okay, what do you want to do now? And he chose that he didn't want to hang out with me, and that's fine. But you have to understand that actions speak louder than words. And trust me, I am sharing this from perspective. When he was little, when he was about 1.5, I started network marketing. I was done maternity leave, and it just wasn't enough. Just being a mom wasn't enough for me. I mean, I love being a mom. I love my son more than absolutely anything in my entire life. But I'm too high achieving. I'm an eldest daughter. Maybe that's part of my problem, but I couldn't do it. Right. So, I wasn't looking for network marketing or anything like that. I just kind of had this, like, I need something. And then this network marketing thing kind of fell into my lap. It was a new company and a good opportunity. And I could see all of the, I
Yeah.
got it. I could see the vision.
Yeah.
So I jumped in, and I did really well, but I spent a lot of time on my phone, working from my phone. It's like, oh, it sounds so great. Yeah, okay. But when you snap at your son because he wants to play because you've been staring at your phone for 2 hours, that does not feel good, right? And then so I will admit that where I'm at now came from learning the hard way. I don't
Right.
ever want to feel the way that I felt. I don't ever, when I look back at his early years,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we have tons of good memories. We did tons of stuff. I'm not saying that I totally neglected him for like 3 years of his life.
Oh, no, but
Do I
still there's
feel,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So
And
I had a lot of guilt to work through about that. And I remember talking to one of my girlfriends. She and I kind of coach each other. And she said, look, you have to remember, I just preface this with, I very much believe in past lives and soul contracts and all of that woo woo stuff. Okay. I'm very much woo. I mix the woo and the do. Okay. So I very much believe in all of that stuff. And she was saying to me, look, you already know that you and your son agreed to these dynamics and these
yeah,
logistics before you
yeah,
even came here
yeah,
because you're, for all of these reasons, right? And I just burst into tears and I said, I know, but it doesn't. I still feel bad that
yeah,
I spent all that time ignoring him, right? And again, it's not like it was all day every day or anything, but I definitely could have been doing a better job of prioritizing him over, but again, you're living in this world where, like you were saying, you're reacting to everything. People are saying they are interested in your thing. You want to capitalize on them. And then of course you've got all these bro marketers saying you've got to jump while it's hot and all these things. So you're like
yeah,
in your DMs
yeah,
all day long. And like,
absolutely.
I was doing what I was told to do. I was successful at it.
Yeah,
I think the problem was it was
yeah,
working too, but it doesn't only work that one way. Right. And that's, I think, where we're at now for especially moms and women in business.
yes,
And I see it kind of collectively now, right? We're seeing that no, you don't have to do it any one way. I mean, if you want to do it that way, that's fine.
yeah,
But for me, so I don't know if you and your listeners are into human design at all, but my human design is manifester, which means that I have very ebb and flow energy. Okay. So I
yeah,
can go in a creative urge and I can get like 3 weeks of work done in like 2.5 days. But then I go into a rest cycle and if I do not honor that, it's like bad. Okay.
right,
It is bad. But I didn't know that about myself at the time. If I had known that and I could leverage it, I could have chunked down my time and worked, in a chunk here and then taken this time off and spent it with my
yeah,
son and then
yeah.
worked in a chunk here. But I didn't know. I mean, and
And what
we
we don't know, we don't
have to
know,
learn. Exactly,
right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
and
And
that's the
and
thing what we're
and we
trying
learn the
to.
lessons.
Yes, and
Yeah.
explaining it like it is, it's so
Yeah.
true because it's the difference is that once you do know, once you can see, it's you still
Yeah.
choosing to do it the other way and not choosing to
Yes.
shift that, if that makes
Yes.
you uncomfortable, if that makes you feel bad and you're not feeling like you're aligned with everything. It comes with time and learning. It doesn't come with just one day
Yeah.
you decided and everything was easy. Because there was a
Right.
time in your life where you felt like you were you needed to shift. You needed that shift. You needed to feel the different, like you needed to go in a different direction. And what point in your life did that really hit you? Like when did it you decide
You
that
know,
no, this isn't working for me?
the I mean, for me, I do feel like it was kind of a gradual build. It kind of was
Hmm.
grating at me over
Yeah,
time, but I'll tell you, my kind of breaking point was so in 2022, my family and I decided we were going to move to Nicaragua. We live in BC, and we were living in BC at the time. We decided we were going to move to Nicaragua to help a family member build a resort kind of a thing, and we were going to be down there. So we sold everything off and we moved down there. And so you think, okay, this is like miraculous. You're living in literally paradise. You've got, you've got a nice little stockpile of cash. You've got money coming in through online business that is rooted in Canada. So I wasn't trying to
yeah,
look for like, illegitimate work or anything like that. And I'm living in this beautiful house. I'm looking over the ocean. I can walk to the beach. I have the most glorious tan I've ever had in my entire life. We're eating, fresh fruit and veggies grown right on the land we're living on. It was like amazing. And I was stressed out so much. I couldn't eat. I was losing so much weight. You can see pictures of me. You can see all of my rib bones here. And I didn't know at the time what was going on. Okay. I just, because I was so far in survival mode, I was just day by day going and doing what I could do. Okay. And I remember my mom, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, okay." And she's, and because she had seen all these photos of me, you could see all these
Right.
ribs, and she was like, "I just don't feel like you're eating enough." And I was like, "No, no, it's fine. I'm just hot and my appetite's not as, heavy as it usually is, but I just, because it is freaking hot down there. It is hot. And we did not have air conditioning or anything like this. Okay. So it's hot, but
And you're going
no
from
pool, no
your
nothing
life
like that.
in Canada, in BC,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Nicaragua, like complete opposite,
Yeah. No,
right?
yeah. We're talking, yeah, third world country. We're talking, they only speak Spanish. Like it's a whole thing. Right. But I could not enjoy it. I couldn't enjoy it. I was stressed out the whole time. And because I was in survival mode, I was repelling all of the potential, clients and
Mhm.
income and all of this. I had been running a group coaching program and it was going well. The people that were in the container were very happy. Some of them chose not to renew after, a year or two or three or whatever, but which of course is the goal, right? You don't want them to be clung to you for their whole life.
Yeah.
The whole idea,
Yeah.
if you're good at what you do and you actually care about doing a good job, the whole thing is to, catch and
Move
release kind of
on.
a
Yeah.
situation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Nurture them and let them go leave the nest. But I was not able to ever replace the income. So as we're down there living this beautiful life on the outside, I continued to, have people not renew and lose income. And I couldn't, because I was so stuck in survival mode and I was trying so hard to recoup the money out of savings that we had spent and all of this. I was pushing constantly and just trying a new thing, trying a new
Yeah.
thing, trying a new thing. I had no time to let any one thing work. I mean, if you've listened to anybody doing any kind of business thing, they all say you need to give it a fair chance, right? You
Yeah.
can't just try it
Yeah.
once and decide it doesn't work. You have to give
No.
it, you know, 60 days, 90 days. You got to give it some time to gain some
Mhm.
traction. You have to be able to look at it and, debrief it and say, okay, well, this didn't work and we could tweak this and we could tweak that. And I just couldn't do it. And like I said, I lost all this weight and my husband and I were fighting all the time and I'm trying to homeschool my son. That's not working. And it was just like this, it was a complete just nightmare. And I thought, you know what? I can't do this. Like this is not working. I need to figure out what my problem is. And so after some soul searching and some researching and some discussions with some different people, I realized my nervous system was just totally shot.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to get my nervous system back to the point where, I mean, even right this second, I don't, I mean, I don't think anybody walks around completely regulated all the time, right?
No, but I
But it
mean,
took
there
me,
has to be an ebb and a flow too, right? Like you can't
yeah,
be all in survival mode and then, it's fight or flight and freeze and you're living in that all the time. You can't be
yeah,
regulated. I mean, life can happen
no,
to us all. But when you're living in that state for a year and you're trying to figure it out, and how many women do this and have no clue what we're talking about because they've just
well,
lived this
exactly.
way? I was that person.
Yes,
And it wasn't
yes.
until
See?
tragedy that kind of
Yeah,
made me stop that I finally realized this isn't unstoppable. This is going to kill
yeah,
me.
yeah,
So you,
yeah. But
when you guys came back from there,
yeah,
were you on your way to healing
I
or did it
was,
take you
you
coming
know what?
back?
I'm going to, so I think the dysregulation started after we decided to move.
Mhm.
We decided we were going to move in February of 2022. Immediately started selling our assets, starting with our biggest one, our motorhome. There was a kind of a divine timing way to release
Mhm.
it, so we took advantage, and that kind of catapulted the whole thing. And I just started disassociating. That whole year, I couldn't
Oh,
focus on anything. Okay, and we talked about it as a family. I thought about it. I meditated on it. I listened to tarot card readings. I was like, I was looking everywhere outside of myself. Do I want to do this? Is this a good idea? Da, 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 da. And I thought, yes. I thought, well, if nothing else, it's going to be really good for my business, because imagine what that's going to look like, that, a manifestation coach gets to move to paradise and live in this beautiful, So I started disassociating pretty much right away when we decided to move. And I remember I never do this. I started playing games on my phone. I downloaded like some kind of like a Candy Crush kind of a thing. And we would sell some stuff, or we would have a garage sale or whatever. And then I would just play games. I remember there was one day we had a garage sale, which was just very overstimulating just anyway, for a lot of reasons. And then I couldn't life. I told everybody, I was like, I am checked out. Don't even speak. Don't even look in my direction. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I can't even do it. So like I say, of course, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
So definitely started disassociating right away, dysregulating right away. And then, so when I've got a fun manifesting story, actually. So when I decided that I needed to come home, I was like, I'm too hot. I can't, I never felt like I could ground, obviously. That I did know right when we were there. Even while we were there, I knew right away, I just didn't feel like it ever felt like home. My son was obviously falling behind because I just couldn't. We tried putting him in a school. It was a nightmare, the whole thing. So I wanted to come home, but I knew that it couldn't be my decision to come. Like, if I had said to my husband, we need to go home, he would have said, he wouldn't have liked it, but he would have said, okay, fine. Cause he's like a surfing guy, beach guy, hot heat. Yeah. He loves it. Right. He loves to speak Spanish. Like, he was just in his freaking element down there. Okay. He loved it. And so I can't be the guy that says we have to go home.
Right.
So I needed it to be his idea. So I started manifesting, visualizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be his idea, right?
Yes.
So I just started visualizing it, manifesting it, seeing it happen, just knowing that the universe had my back, and that at some point he was going to turn to me and say, okay, I'm ready to go home. It took about, you know what? Let me back up a second. The moment that I decided it was time to go home, we had been on vacation in Nicaragua. Okay. We had gone up to, I forget the name of it now. This canyon where you can float through this canyon. Absolutely beautiful. It's a serious trek together, but it is beautiful. And while we were there, there's not a lot of cell service where we are. This is kind of a remote area. And I was doing weekly, like check-ins with my clients. Okay. They would send me a form. I would go through it, and I would send them accountability, coaching, mentorship, whatever, via voice note. And I couldn't do it. There was no service. And I was stressed out about getting on my phone and getting them service, because we were going to be gone for so many days and And I thought, this is stupid. Like, I'm on vacation. I live in paradise. I'm on vacation while living in paradise, and I can't even enjoy it because I'm trying to get frickin' reception on my phone to get this work done. And I thought, this is stupid. Like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what this is supposed to look like. I'm living a frickin' lie right now. It looks like I'm so happy and having this great time, when really I'm miserable and stressed out, right? So anyway, so that trip, that was beginning of September 2023. I was like, we need to go home. This is not working. But I was like, but I need it to be my husband's decision. So 4 weeks later, 4 weeks, I held the vision. I stayed with it. I was like, no, it's going to happen. And I remember it was happening right now. He turns to me and he says, I think I'm ready to go home. And I was like, really? And I'm trying not to get like all, right? I'm like, oh, okay. And then I said, and then he's like, what does Dominic think? And Dominic, are you ready to go home? He's like, yeah, I'm ready to go home. So now, well, okay. Right before that, I had already started kind of putting the wheels in motion to get my son back into the school that he was at before we left. Okay. Cause it was a very good school, and I needed him to be in a familiar environment too. Because of all the things that had happened.
So you're already checking all the boxes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're already checking all the boxes. Oh, yeah. This is amazing, because honestly, and I'm picturing you doing this. I am picturing it in my head.
It was happening. Like, it was to the point where, so here's a manifesting trick for everybody. You want to manifest past the thing that you're manifesting. Okay. So once I had said to the universe, I need it to be my husband's idea, that's already locked and loaded. I don't need to think about that again. Now, I did visualize him saying, I want to go home, but I knew that was happening. So now I'm on Pinterest creating Pinterest boards of all the different tablescapes I'm going to make when I host a grandparent dinner next when we get home. Okay. Like I'm looking at crafts that I can do, because you can't really do crafts in Nicaragua. They don't have the same, I mean, it's a third world country. They don't have the same
Yeah.
quality of,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
Michaels and Hobby Lobbies and things like this. Right. So I'm Pinteresting and I'm thinking about all this, and I started getting the wheels in motion to get my son back in his school. And everybody was telling me it's not going to happen. The school was already over capacity, and there was a wait list of 150 kids. Okay. And everybody's telling me it's not going to happen. I emailed a couple times and they went just unanswered. Right. And I thought, no, like this is not happening. So I emailed again and I said, like, what is the deal? My kid needs to go to the school. And they're like, well, there's no room. There's no room at the school down the street either. Basically, like, you're SOL. And I was like, no, that's not how my life works. That's not what's happening. So I literally prayed to God and I was like, okay, help me. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
And I heard clear as day, get referral letters. So I went to a couple of people that I knew. They were fairly prominent in the school. We had made friends with, the people who were leading the parent advisory committee,
Yeah.
and even Dominic's kindergarten teacher. And I said, would you please write me a letter of recommendation to have us back in the school? And I did get a couple of no's. They were like, it's a conflict of interest, or I can't do that, or whatever. I was like, oh, fine. Like, I respect, fine.
Yeah.
But I did get some glowing ones too. And then I said, okay, well, now what do I do with this? Who do I send this to? And so one of our friends said, send it to the school board. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I sent these letters off to the school board with this this heartfelt like plea, right? For my son's mental health. I need him back in this school. And so I sent that off. And then for whatever reason, I was on the school website. I knew the school was full. I went on the school's website and it said they have a capacity of 610, but there was 611 kids in the school. I said, okay, so they will go over capacity if they need to. And that's all I needed. I was like, it is happening. And so everybody kept telling me it's not going to happen. Like, I'll write the letter for you, but I don't think it's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I don't, it doesn't matter. I don't need you to be on board with it. So what ended up happening, we ended up having a phone interview with the vice district, somebody, the decision maker guy. Cause he just wanted to hear our story and kind of make sure it was a genuine plea and that we had like real cause to want him back in the school. And so we gave him the spiel and I said, like, I'm really worried for my son's mental health. I said, I'm worried for my own mental health, watching him and his mental health have to adjust to yet another new environment.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that happened while we were in Nicaragua, we kind of unexpectedly had to move 3 months in or 4 months in. And my son had just started at this school 2 weeks before this. And then we're moving now. And we kind of fell out of touch with some family. And it was just like, it was not a good, anyway,
And
it was not a
as
good
an
thing.
adult,
So
you took that on as an adult, yes, but those weren't your
yes,
expectations for your child. You thought, right? Like
exactly.
you had all full, we can do this. We can do this as a family. You made these
Yes.
choices because you talked about them and you did it
Right.
together.
Right. Right. So I needed to get him back into his school. So we did the phone interview. Cost me about $57 on long distance charges, but it was the best $57 I ever spent because we got off that phone and I thought, there is no way he's going to come back and say, no, he cannot go to the school. Like, there is just no way. We bonded with this guy and he had kind of a similar situation with one of his kids, just in the like anxiety kind of mental health kind of a arena. And so he sent me an email back and said, yeah, absolutely, we can let him back in the school. And then I actually did. We started him back at school after the winter break. So he started back halfway through in 2024. Well, in January of 2024 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And he got placed with a teacher that had experience with moving kind of mid-year to another country and come back. She was from a mission family. So they had gone to wherever they had gone in like Middle East or whatever and come back. And, so she was familiar with what it's like to kind of readjust to a new environment. So that was fantastic. She was a great teacher. The school is great. And then I also got an invitation. I also manifested, this is all happening in 6 weeks. I also manifested an invitation to come. We were at the time living in the suite of my in-laws' house. And then when we moved away, we were things were not really as good as they could be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I even manifested an invitation back into our suite and our repaired relationship and everything. So, and that whole thing took about 6 weeks. Um,
So there's
and
so much
and
power in your belief, though. It had to come
oh,
from you
100%.
believing and really seeing it
Yeah.
happening. And that is that voice that, and like I always say, it can be God, source, creator, whatever it is that anyone's listening believes in, I understand, but it has to come from in here. And you have to believe it
Yes.
because it is possible. You created a life for yourself and you can help other people see that for themselves. So
Yes,
when you
exactly.
shifted
Yeah.
and you came back, and I know it's never easy and that's been like 2 years. So do you, when you look back at this and you realize, wow, this was my life. And now that I know what I know about your nervous system and how all of that plays such a big part in our lives that we don't even know. Because you
Yeah.
didn't know at first. You were like, "Why? I'm here. I love it. But why am I losing weight?" But, every woman that I talk to that has had trauma of any sort, that has had
Mhm.
something that they have come up against, they always think it's over there. They don't realize it's
Mhm.
here, right?
Yeah.
And then when you finally look within
Yeah.
and you see it, you're like, "Why didn't I see this?" Because you weren't meant to. You were
Yeah.
supposed to go down this road, like you said, and you've created a life, a safe place for your son, a safe place, your husband, and the way your relationship works, even though you kind of manipulated the situation to get him to say it first, which I always say that too. It has to be my husband's idea. It has to, and I always
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
manifest this. It's going to work. It's going to work, right? Because
Yeah.
because really and truly, it's a man thing. It usually has to be their idea, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you came home and you kind of had that time to breathe, had that time to settle back into the life that was familiar for your son, for you and your husband. What was that like for you? Like, how did you? I know the gratitude must have been unbelievable because you were exactly where you knew you needed
Oh,
to
yeah.
be, your family needed to be.
Yeah.
So, how did
Yeah.
you get through that? Like, and you
That's
now
a really
pass
good
it
question.
along. You
So,
you give it away now, and that's what this is about, right?
yeah.
That's what you do this
Yeah.
for,
Oh,
is you give it
definitely.
away.
And what's funny is now, in hindsight, 2 years hindsight, I can see that, yeah, that experience was beneficial for my business, but just not in the way that I thought it would. That's okay though. That's okay though, right? It's okay.
Right.
Yes, immense gratitude.
Yes.
It was very eye-opening. And one of the reasons I'm so glad we did what we did is because we take the first world for granted so much. Like, you do not understand. If you can stand in the shower and have the water running while you lather your shampoo, while you brush your hair through, brush the conditioner through your hair. I'm not even touching on hot water yet. I'm just talking about running water. If you can leave the water running while you stand in the shower, okay, and then you add on that it's hot water, you are living like a king, okay? We don't understand. You can order something from Amazon and it can be here. If you order it in the right time frame, it can be here later today. Okay.
Yeah.
You order something on Amazon in Nicaragua, you're waiting at least 6 weeks. It's got to go to Miami, then on some kind of boat or something. And then it's got to go, like, it's a whole thing. You don't understand that the hashtag first world problems has a whole new meaning. And
Yes.
I'm so glad that I can sit here and say, like, me included, I was disgusted with myself when I realized how much for granted I took the first world and all of the beautiful
Okay.
luxuries that we have,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
windows and walls and doors and floors that aren't
Yeah.
made out of dirt and roofs and central heating and cooling. I mean, we don't have AC, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So the gratitude was absolutely immense. I really rooted myself in the gratitude I have for living in such a beautiful place. And on top of that, I live just outside Vancouver, BC, which is hands down one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. Okay. I
Yes.
am very lucky. I just this morning, I was walking my son to school and we caught the glimpse of it has just snowed here recently, not like down
Yeah.
here, but in the mountains. And we were looking at the sun's on the mountain. And I was like, oh my God, Dominic, look how beautiful the mountain looks. And he was like, oh, we just took a second to just really enjoy it. And so definitely a lot of gratitude. It it was just very, I don't even know what the word is. It was hard for me to realize the state that my body was in. And I've been on a really, since then, I mean, we're talking 2 years now, I've been on
Mhm.
a really deep healing journey to get myself back to a good place. Um, and to be able to share that with other people. I want, like, I don't go through experiences for nothing. I know that I have a calling that is much higher
Yeah.
than probably what I even realize right now. And I know that nothing that happens to me is only for me. So
No.
I really just root myself in that and just share it with anybody that wants to listen to me yammer on for, however long.
No, but Danielle, you know what? Our experiences, our our purpose is bigger than ourselves. And, when we finally see what aligns with us, and one person listening to this is going to say, that's what's happening to me.
Mhm.
That's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And that's what we're doing this for. You got to
Yeah.
share your story about what brought you to where you are now. And if that isn't unstoppable, all of those roadblocks along the way and all of but you didn't settle for, oh, this is going to, oh, the no's. You said, no, there's a will, there's a way, and you went through it.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
You went through everything you needed to go through. You always look for the solution. You didn't just sit in the problem. And, I say that a lot. I say, we have a
Yeah.
shitstorm. That's when the unstoppable comes in, not when life is great. Life is great.
Yeah.
Woo! Right? It's easy to be unstoppable. It's
Yeah.
when the shit hits
Yeah.
the fan that we have to look within and
Yeah.
create that for ourselves and our
It's
families.
true.
And you
It's
did
true. But
that.
you know what else? I realized that me, and then I saw a reflection of it in my clients too. We were really good at manifest. We had become really, really good at chaos management. There was one moment where we had a very unfortunate event happen to us while we were down there. And as we're dealing with it, I was like, okay, I am fantastic at chaos management. I mean, you do go into full dysregulation, but I was like, okay, I'm good at chaos management. And then I realized, and I saw this with my clients too, we are really good at manifesting best case scenario out of a worst case scenario because we are looking for solutions. We are looking for the silver lining. We are looking
Yeah.
for the meaning behind it. And then I thought, no, F this. I don't want to just be good at being able to manifest best case scenarios out of worst case scenarios. I want to be manifesting best case scenarios out of best case scenarios. Like, if I'm the
Mhm.
creator of my own reality and I know all the things I know about how my reality is created and how my beliefs shape what I'm seeing, then I should be able to manifest best case scenarios out of best case scenarios. And so more and more and more, that's what I am seeing, right? And I will say, one of the amazing things that came out of being in survival mode and needing to find a way out is I dove really deep into learning about how the subconscious works and how reality creation works. I mean, I
Mhm.
already was doing manifestation. I already understood it as much as I thought I needed to. And then I started reading The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I started studying A Course in Miracles. I started reading psycho-cybernetics. And then I started making subliminal audios for myself, because if it's all about training your mind and training your mind is just repetition, well, then I can record myself. And I had been using a technique in manifesting called scripting, where you basically write out a day in the
Right.
future as if it's already happened, right? So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, if I record myself reading my scripting, or if I record myself reading the affirmations that I'm wanting to believe, and I'm listening to that as much as I can, well, then that's gonna, I mean, it's science. You're going to rebuild the neural pathways that you need to create that reality. So I started doing that for myself. And then my girlfriend was like, well, make one for me too. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if other people would like these too. So I started
Yep.
selling, like offering to make custom
Yeah.
subliminals for other people, because there are generic ones on YouTube, but they are generic. They
Yeah.
are based on
Yeah.
somebody else's ideas, right? And so anyway, so that's one amazing thing that came out of Nicaragua, was that I realized that I have this gift for creating these really powerful subliminal audios that help, and that not only help you manifest amazing things, but also help you regulate your nervous system. And
Yes.
so, but that would never have happened if I hadn't come to this breaking point of like, I'm going to lose my effing mind. Like, I'm going to jump
Yeah.
off this balcony. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. That's terrible to say that. But honestly, like, there was a point there where I was like, I think it would be easier if I just
Well, you
didn't
get
have to
to
deal with
the
any of this
edge.
anymore. And I
That's where
never would have
you're
acted on it.
no, but
Yeah.
there has to be a trigger for us to see the other to see the sides. There has to be something. There
Yes.
has to be a
Yes.
point where
Exactly.
we there just does, because if things are just going along and we're just
Yeah.
taking them, then nothing's gonna change. But when that time comes and it's different for everyone, but, I love talking to you. I love listening to your stories, and I know how much heart and soul is in what you do for your clients as well. I see you on I mean,
Thank
I
you.
watch you on, socials, and you are just this you are a manifestating queen. Like, you are just this you
Thank you.
exude it. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and that's what I
Yeah.
love, because you know what? There's nothing worse than seeing someone who talks the talk and doesn't walk the walk, and I believe that you and have all of it, and the connection that people will feel and feel your truth and your honesty is amazing. And I thank you so
Well, thank
much
you.
for sharing and being vulnerable, because I know that's not easy. It's not easy for any of us,
Oh,
even if we've gone through it, but if you are listening to this and you hear anything that you wanted to share with someone, please pass this along to a friend. Danielle is a wonderful soul, and she will all of her information will be in our show notes. So if you want to get in touch with her, please reach out. And if you can't, then reach out to me and I will hook you up, I promise. But thank you so much for being here, Danielle. And I think that, this won't be our last meeting. And especially since we're both Canadians, we
no, I would love to
definitely
have
get to,
another.
yeah, absolutely. And I would
Yes.
love to have you on again.
Yes.
I would love that. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much, Vicki. This has been phenomenal. I hope it's been helpful. And just, I want everybody to know, like, don't ever feel ashamed of anything that you've been through. Even if it's even if it's embarrassing, even if because I mean, like I said, I'm living this life that looks, on the outside like, oh, how fantastic. She teaches manifestation and she manifested this great. You know what? I didn't enjoy it. And I'm not proud of the fact that I didn't enjoy it, but at least I can be honest about the fact that I didn't enjoy
Mhm.
it, because I know it will help somebody else who feels like they're living something that looks like it's all good on paper, but they're just not happy. They're not fulfilled. There's
Yep.
something missing. And chances are your nervous system is dysregulated, which I would love to help you with.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Vicki, for
Absolutely.
having me. This has been so phenomenal.
Absolutely. Oh, it has been. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, everyone.
Thank
Until
you.
next time, thanks for listening. We'll see you the next time. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. Remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and your power is limitless. If you love today's conversation, subscribe, share it with the women in your life, and leave a review to help more women discover their unstoppable selves. I'm Vicki McDougall, and I'll see you in the next episode, because your journey to unstoppable starts now.